Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
And happy March. This is Oracle Bunny. We'll talk about him a little bit because he's definitely very related to our topic for this month, which is creativity. And before we get there, Peter and I wanted to just share kind of a PSA, public service announcement, and I'll drop in the comments if you want to skip this part, how you can get right to Sunday Morning Grace. But we wanted to just share our thoughts on the vaccine because depending upon your community and the people you hang out with, it can be a pretty charged topic of whether or not to get vaccinated. And we both actually just got our first shots last Sunday and had, people, because, I'm a holistic health practitioner, kind of a different part of my life, but so I swim in circles where there are people who don't agree with the vaccination process. And, for health reasons, for other reasons, whatever. And nothing about that is really where we want to focus today. Where we do want to focus on is that this is one of those situations, really all of life is important to follow your guidance, but especially around these very charged topics and things where you can be more influenced by people because their opinions are so strong. Make sure that what you're doing is what feels guided and right for you, deep in your heart. And it's so important to let go of feeling pressured by other people, because this is your body, this is your health, and we as a global community are healing through this. And again, I know this could get political, and that's not my intention, but I think it's really important to just be sure that you follow your guidance, whatever it is.
Absolutely. We've been talking about this for a few months actually, whether we should get the shot, when we should get the shot, and we were lucky enough to get it earlier because we may have to go care for our daughter from surgery in a month or so. But all along, it just came back to it's right for us. And there's going to be different vaccines, some that are the RNA and some that are more like the traditional flu vaccines. So again, there's tons of information, there's tons of opinions, but ultimately and I'm bringing in human design here, what's right for you right now from you and from your guidance.
So, there's our 2 cents. And just know that we support you following your guidance no matter what that is. So let's talk about creativity.
Okay, well, welcome to Sunday Morning Grace. This is past the public service announcement, and we want to welcome you here. We love to see you out there. He can see you probably better than we can, but we know you're there. We feel your energy and your love.
We do indeed. So we have 4 points this month that we want to share on the topic of creativity. And it's such a rich topic. I mean, it's creativity. How could it not be a rich topic? What are you doing?
Number 1.
Oh.
I'm being creative.
He's being creative. I love it. Yeah, so the first point that we wanted to make around creativity was being mindful of your words and remembering, creativity comes from creator or create, but creator is a synonym for God, for source, for spirit. And so just a reminder that we're creating in every moment, with our words, with our thoughts, with our feelings, with everything that we are creating every moment. So being mindful, I don't always call people out. I admit, if I'm in a class and I'm teaching them, I'll call them out. But being mindful of your words, if you're saying things like, that breaks my heart, think about that. Do you want your heart to be broken? Maybe it's something that, that's really painful to me. But there's some there's terminology that we can use that is counterproductive, honestly, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. I mean, words, words and thoughts and intention create, but they can also be destroyed. They can be destructive, and we can fall into it, sort of out of pattern. And
Right.
what we're focused on this morning is bringing a little bit more awareness to that, checking up on yourself. Are you using those patterns? Like, I'm so bored with this, or I can't stand it. As opposed to rephrasing that as, this has been challenging, but I need to, whatever that statement is.
Yeah, and it's funny that you use the word, well, some words are destructive, and destruction is part of the creation process. So you're actually creating, when you destroy, you're just creating something that's destructive to your well-being.
And what just sort of came in is a more positive way around some of these things we're talking about is, I'm done with that, I'm building a new. Something along, obviously your words, but having that, using the power that I'm done with it. So you're, harnessing the power of destruction, that I'm over it, and then adding in some kind of positive step forward. And maybe you don't fully feel it here, but the words can lead you there.
I love that. And this isn't about spiritual bypass. This isn't about ignoring. If you're feeling depressed or gloomy, it's not about ignoring that, but it's about harnessing the power of creation to process that and move into a space that feels better.
And being honest, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
you're not done with it, so then it'd be something like, I'm working through it, or I'm letting it go. If you're still in the process, you want to be honest, because you don't want to repress stuff that, especially emotionally stuff, you don't want to just repress that. But empowering it, being creative to empower it, is what we're getting at.
Yes, we are. So, point number 2 here. This was actually an article that the angels showered past my consciousness yesterday. It was just this study of people who had found that, they called it non-time, was a really important part of the creative process, meaning not having things that are scheduled, even if they fall into the category of healthy, like meditation or yoga or spiritual retreats or whatever it is, that having too much scheduled time actually works against the creative process. I like to think of it as white space or white canvas, and I was chatting with our daughter about this last night, and because when the kids were young and we were parenting, we were very careful not to have their schedules too full, because they did have some activities, extracurricular activities, to help with music and art and things, sports that they were interested in, but we didn't want them overscheduled, because we both felt like they needed that time to create their own magic, and they did that. They made up games. They were just so creative as little beings that they were. And when I was talking to Orlena about it last night, I don't think I told you this, is that she was saying that she has friends that were very scheduled as they were growing up, and as a result of that, they have really had a hard time as adults, because they don't know what to do with free time. They don't know how to plug into that very powerful white space where creativity just has no bounds.
Absolutely. In human design terms, this is probably splenic space, because the spleen is all about time, and typically people with an undefined spleen may find it easier to be timeless, to not have to, look at the clock and it's like, okay, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. This one back here is giving us a demonstration of not in time, as she's just gently kneading her claws into the blanket and figuring out where's the next nap.
That's exactly what she's doing. I think she knows where the next nap is. She's just preparing the bed. But yeah, really important. So, allowing that open space for creation, and having unscheduled time doesn't mean that you fall into habits of picking up your phone or playing video games or whatever it is that you do. This is about just allowing that fuller, deeper connection with spirit, with the Creator.
I think it's easy for us, I think more now than it was when we were younger, that, we have mental lists of, I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to get dinner ready and I've got to vacuum. Mm-hmm. And that can eat up all our non-time. So being stronger about it and pushing back. As you were speaking, I was thinking of the canvas, and it's a blank canvas, and I think some people, when they go to do art, they may have preconceived, like, okay, I've got to do a still life, or I've got to do a person, and this is really about, no, you don't. This non-time is a canvas, and
or maybe it's clay.
Or maybe it's clay, but it's unlimited in what you do with it.
Right.
And
exactly.
that's where the creativity comes in.
And you may do a still life, but I think having yourself open to the possibilities is important.
Absolutely.
Which is actually a beautiful segue into, wait for it, this is really about bringing playfulness, bringing creativity into everyday life, and I feel like play has been a real theme lately, and I think maybe part of it's because we're all feeling some of the wear and tear of the last year, and as we start to emerge from that, just there's this need for levity, I think. And so an example, last night Peter's washing the dishes, and he's got the cat on his shoulders, and he's narrating what he's doing, like, this is how you wash the pan.
Well, she's young, needs to learn.
Yeah, like, the cats are ever going to do the dishes. Damn, that would be cool.
It would be.
Right?
Bet you can market that.
Yeah, she looks like she's up for some chores, doesn't she?
With a tail like that, look at all the dusting that could be done.
Yeah, so I think it's important to mix it up. I was having, and this is where this guy's going to come in. I was having a bit of a dreary afternoon the other day, just feeling a little bit tired. I think it was probably partially because of the shot, and I just needed some levity, and I sat, and the angels were like, you need to have a tea party with this guy. So I sat, and I share this because there's the adult part of me that's like, are you kidding me? You're really going to say this out loud? And then there's a little 4-year-old girl inside of me who was the one who really needed to be taken care of the other afternoon. She was the one who was feeling, because we all have these little kids that are inside of us, and it was my little 4-year-old that needed to have the moment, to have the afternoon. So I brewed some tea, I had some fresh baked cookies, and this guy and I spent like a half an hour I was reading and he was with me, and we had a tea party, just like I would have when I was 4 years old. So I think, we talked about vulnerability last month, and I think, I feel a little bit vulnerable sharing that. But, then as I was processing, it's like, so who tells us that as adults that we can't still play pretend with our stuffed animals or dollies or whatever. You know, like who there's that we may have been teased when we were kids. You know, I thankfully didn't have brothers who did this, but I have friends who did. It's like, you know, tease them for being little kids and not grown up and still playing with their toys. But the fact of the matter is, we all have those little kids inside, and those little kids need attention and need that outlet to play when they're feeling unheard.
And this guy's gone to St. Lucia, he's gone to Florida, he's gone on a lot of vacations with us, and we've gotten some strange looks, but on the other hand, a couple of times we've come back and the maids come in and they've set him up on top of the pillows. One time he was looking out the window.
Right, I forgot about that.
It's creativity can be contagious. You might get some strange looks, but it can also brighten somebody else's day. They can help them see, I don't have to live in the mundane.
I can play. I can play. And those little inner kids, you know, still have place. You know, I think we get so trapped as adults in this mindset of, you know, when we're little, all we want to do is grow up. You know, and then we get grown up and we leave so much of the magic behind. You know, and it's important to let those inner kids have a place still.
You're reminding me of the blanking on the name for a moment. It's a show. Gosh. Anyway, the story is it's this old folks' home, and they decide that they're going to play kick the can, which honestly I think I only played once, but it was a kids game, and you would go out and you'd kick the can and you call somebody's name. It's kind of like Spud, if you ever played Spud. You kick the can, you call somebody's name, and then everybody else runs and hides. And anyway, the plot of the show was that one person thought it was foolish and they stayed in, and the rest of the old people disappeared and became little kids. And so in a way it's an analogy that they found their inner child through being creative, outside the structure of what society would.
And they weren't trapped anymore in the whole grown up scene. Aging scene. Yeah, I mean, even my mother, who, you know, had talked about it before, that slow, long, difficult decline, she became a little girl. You know, she had Ted. And Ted was this teddy bear I gave her when she was in the hospital one time from the hospital gift shop. And Ted became her best friend. And so she, you know, as difficult as it was for everybody else, she actually was happy. You know, this little girl in her was what emerged, and she was a playful little girl. She fed Ted soup. I came in and the aide was shaking her head because Ted was in the washing machine because my mother had fed him some chicken soup. Anyway, so what a gift, honestly, that I felt like her childlike self saved her in the end.
Absolutely.
You know?
And that show was Twilight Zone.
Oh, it was
just
Twilight Zone. Okay, right. I was thinking it was a movie. All right, so moving on to number 4. This was actually more your one, about trying new approaches, new ways of doing things, and you know, we're hardwired, I think, when we do things habitually. Not I think, we are. We're hardwired when we do things habitually. So you know,
yeah, I got this one from a guy named Steve Rother, who he and his wife. They used to be called Lightworker World, I think. I saw him once. They toured around the world, basically just bringing enlightenment. And one of the things he used to talk about was doing things differently. So if you brush your teeth with your right hand, then brush it with the left hand. If you always go to school or the office via a certain road or roads, take a different route. And what he talked about is that it actually makes the brain work differently. When we get in these rote patterns of brushing our teeth with the same hand or following the exact same schedule, our brain is sort of on that circuit, and it's not allowing the creativeness of the rest of the brain to get involved. And so doing these things that would seem mundane, I was telling Elvia that when I mow the lawn, I often do it in a different pattern.
Just all kinds of things.
Just because it's creative, sometimes I'll do one area and then I'll do the next, and sometimes we have like, I don't know, probably five different yards here, different sections of the property, and sometimes I'll mow all the way around all five, and I may keep doing that, or I may like at some point stop and finish off one area and then.
You made a maze, and I remember clocking it. I walked the maze, having mowed the maze, and it was like a mile. Because you went all the way around in these little patterns and
made turns and twists and let it grow in the other areas for a couple of months.
And I think that's part of being creative in every moment and recognizing that we're creating all the time. And ultimately, what is creativity about? It's being excited about life. It's being inspired, and when we do the same thing over and over again, bringing this idea of freshness, of creativity, of joy, of inspiration to what it is that we're doing, I think is the essence of creativity and what we're getting at here.
Absolutely, and I think it's, in a way, it's like a key. It's letting us out of the cage that we can sometimes even unconsciously feel locked into.
But it's like that story of the guy, the prisoner, who was always able to get out, but he didn't know it.
The door wasn't locked.
The door was never locked, right? And, our daughter fractured her right wrist, and that's what the surgery she has to have, and she was devastated because she's an artist and a chemist. But her artwork is just like her soul work, and she was devastated, panicked that she couldn't do art till this is resolved, and even then it could be an issue. And after a few days, she started doing art with her left hand, and initially she was like, I can't, she's so right hand dominated. But she started using her left hand, and it took a good deal of courage for her to do that, but she did, and the artwork she's creating with her left hand is just mind-blowing, and she's totally inspired by it because she feels like it's opened up this whole other side of her and how she creates her art, and I think it's just such a beautiful example of what we're talking about here. I mean, she doesn't have a choice, and because we have a choice, we fall into the habit, and I think we're encouraging us to move out of that stuck space.
Absolutely. She had done a little bit of art with her left hand, so had a little bit of a start, but she basically found that there was a real gift there.
Yeah. So I'm feeling complete with that. Feeling complete with that little guy. So we're gonna where are the cards?
I have some dragons here.
I was going to ask you to bring the book over, but I guess that wasn't meant to be. I don't usually use the book, but these are new cards to me, and I'm honestly not that familiar with dragon energy. They just, in the last couple of months, have stepped forward and been kind of a cool influence.
So maybe if you know dragons, in the comments below, add your thoughts on this card that Elvia's going to pick.
Or anything we're talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, this is one I haven't picked yet. Divine Feminine. We don't need the book for that one, do we? I always like looking at the numbers. So this is number 32, which is a 5 number. Divine Feminine there. She's just perched. She's reaching up. She's gentle, but she's powerful. And this light is coming up from below, but she's looking up towards the heavens. And there's this, she's poised, she's ready, she's listening. She's preparing, I'm hearing. You know, and here in the northern hemisphere, it's spring, and this feels very in alignment with that. That preparation, that she's not taking action yet, but she's preparing to. She's listening to whatever it is that she needs to hear to get ready. And I keep seeing this. Wow. There's a J in that image. I'm actually hearing Jesus, so the Ascended Master. Jesus is part of this. You see that?
I did, from her tail.
Is that her tail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Wrapped around.
Okay. That combined with the poet. Any other insights on that?
Just her wings are luminescent, that she's charging. That she's not just listening and sitting, but she's taking in the energy of the divine, so that when she springs forward, you know, she's got all the strength that she needs.
That's beautiful. Yeah, when you said that, I got the image of, you know, like putting a phone on a charger thing. All right. So you want to share our stone for today? You're not going to let go of him, are you?
He wants to be involved.
There's a whisker here in the way. I can't see it. I live in partnership with my angels. That's what we're working on in seminary right now.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, when I picked this morning, that just made me think, if any of this topic that you're struggling, you know, creativity can't really be forced. So if you're struggling, ask these guys to help. They would be happy to help. They may make a cat appear over your shoulder, or
that's where the tea party idea came from. It was the angel's guidance.
A book fall off the shelf, or a guy hopping into your reality at the grocery store, as this guy did. Who knows? But they're here to be your partner.
Absolutely. All right, we ready? Bring it home with the tenants?
Bring it home.
All right. Just placing your hands wherever on your body you feel guided to at this time. And you can either follow along or just allow these words to penetrate and go within you wherever they are needed most at this time. I open my heart with deep gratitude and intend today to master my spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical energies. I am dedicated to my spiritual practice. I surrender to my soul's purpose through sacred prayer. I own my guidance. I live in partnership with my angels. I serve with a loving heart. I am compassionate in every moment. I trust it's all good. I allow immediate forgiveness. I honor my truth. I listen to the spiritual messages within my physical body. I express myself creatively. I am one with Mother Earth, and so it is. So with that, so much love to you and yours from the four of us. And Gigi's in the other room. She was being a little too rambunctious. But go be you, go be creative, and know how much we love you.